Oh, yeah.
What up?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another issue of That's Canon.
That's Canon, brought to you by FranklinArmstrong.com, Franklin Armstrong Collective, in conjunction with Squared-Idea.com. I am Brian Doc Holliday, and my Geektastic Cypher co-host,
Dave
Toby.
Well, you don't host Geektastic Cypher.
Sorry. It's morning. It's morning. Well, everyone, whoever's listening to this might not be morning, but for me, it's morning.
It's super early for he was a guest host at one point, so I guess he had to say it.
One time.
It's just because he says it, I'm just like, wait, no, let Toby talk.
Yeah, no, rough. Mulligan. Can we start over?
Toby.
Oh, if anything, yeah, I can just cut all of this out, and then we'll just go and... Oh, actually, no, because the music bed playing. So there you go, folks. You get to hear the blunders on this one. Well, I mean, we keep it real. We keep it real.
Bloopers included.
So, Tobes, how you been?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Friggin' tired as hell right now, but real good. It's been a good recoup week. And it's been kind of like all over the place for the past 2-3 weeks, so it's kind of nice to kind of get a little downtime.
Yeah. And Dave,
yeah,
I'll let you introduce.
Well, I'm Dave from Squared Idea, co-writer of Trinity, part of the local or independent Montreal comic book scene. We also have Fathom that's been released by Michael Wilcox. And we have a few other projects.
Fathom is a new comic book you guys put out.
And then we also have a few more coming up, but I don't know what time or date this is coming out, so I don't know if I necessarily am supposed to say names. So
no,
there's more to come.
Just give the website and tell people where to check, because by now all this stuff's on the website.
Yeah, that's right. So it's squared-idea.com, and you can also find us at Facebook, Instagrams, bunch of other places. Just search around. Do
you have anything coming out in conjunction with Comic-Con, like a release, exclusive?
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, this is gonna be aired, so
yeah, this is gonna be way after Comic-Con.
Well, you know what? Go to Montreal Comic-Con. We'll be there, because I guarantee we're gonna snag a spot every year now, because now we get to pre-order.
Yeah, you get to reserve for next year.
Exactly. So we'll be around. Just go to Montreal Comic-Con. We'll be there. And
if you guys did go to Montreal Comic-Con, you probably saw myself and Skinny from Franklin Armstrong, because I got media accreditation. I think Skinny's just waiting to hear from them too. So we're gonna be there repping. We're gonna be doing a few specials for Geektastic Cypher. One on the 27th, we're gonna do a Comic-Con segment, and then on the 4th, we're gonna be doing another one. And then, if I'm not mistaken, we're also gonna be doing kind of small snippet segments each day after. So like the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. Yeah.
That's cool. They're all going to be released on Franklin Armstrong, so even if you missed it, just go back on our website and give her a listen.
It's all there, kids. Geek out with us. This week, we are going to be discussing the title off of Icon Comics, a subsidiary of Marvel, their independent comic label, if you are looking for a title. This is called Empress. Empress runs from issues... if anything, it's Empress Book 1. It runs issues 1 through 7. It's from Icon, as mentioned. It's written by Mark Millar and pencil and art by Stuart Immonen, who, if I'm not mistaken, is Canadian, but I should double check that.
Stuart Immonen, eh?
Yeah.
I think he's Swedish or something.
His name might be, but I've met him a few times, and from what I understood, he's
Canadian.
He's what?
So he's Canadian. He's just Swedish origin, I guess, right?
Yeah, let's look it up.
Let's take a look.
I'll let you look it up while I give people the beginning of the elevator pitch. This is straight from Icon themselves. Now, this is an interesting one as they wrote it. Let's see if I can do this in one take, folks.
Before you start, he is Finnish from Canada.
Oh, yeah. He's Finnish descent, but Canadian? Okay, there you go. So let's try this, kids. The elevator pitch for Empress, 2016. Mark Millar, Stuart Immonen. Anyways, okay. Imagine you're married to the worst bad guy from your favorite sci-fi movie. An alien dictator feared throughout the universe who will kill you if you leave. But you need to escape for the sake of your 3 children. That's the life of Queen Emporia. All she has is her wits, her bodyguard, and 3 guns to get her kids across the galaxy. And her husband Morax's forces are in hot pursuit. Easy, right? Their desperate race for their lives will take them through interplanetary war zones, across dead worlds, and into the path of monstrous beasts. Danger piles upon danger when slaver circles and tribal priestess thirst for a blood sacrifice. All the while, Morax executes anyone and everyone in his way. Welcome to Empress, your new favorite comic.
Okay, I have a problem with the beginning of it.
Oh, wait, wait, is this a review? Because you're supposed to do your elevator pitch.
It's not a review. It's it's
elevator pitch first, then. Do your elevator pitch. Let's do this all in the review.
I'll let Dave go with his elevator pitch first, then.
Okay. How would I even say?
Already ready to take it down, this one.
You know, like he's like,
I got a problem.
I'm just curious where he's going with that. It's throwing me off.
Save it. Okay, so
I will say, if I was going, I'd be like, imagine you have the worst ex in the world, abusive ex, and you want to get away with it, get away from him. He's a crazy bitch, and he's always gonna track you down.
Yeah.
So you need your right hand man to try and take him out along the way as you trying to escape.
Okay.
An intergalactic escape or chase. That's it.
Okay.
How
about this?
Pitch.
How about this? Imagine a world where you're married to someone like, say, Kim Jong Un.
Oh God.
Or someone, or someone like Vladimir Putin, or just some dictator where he can do whatever
Mussolini.
he wants. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants to try to get you back, and
Donald
no matter
Trump.
where you hide, everyone is literally sending him back information. So no matter where you go, within a few seconds, you're spotted, and he's there waiting. He's on his way to come get you. So this whole comic book series is just about you being on the run with your kids, and it's nonstop. It's a thrill ride, and there's guns, there's shooting, there's aliens, there's literally tons of planets that you only stay on for like 2 minutes because you have to get in 2 seconds. And also at the same time, think of Saga. There's a little bit of Saga.
So I would say my elevator pitch is, imagine Hulk from Planet Hulk, if he became an angry dictator and took a wife and she ran away, and Thor was running around. Not Thor. Why do I keep saying Thor? Because Ragnarok really messed up that perspective for me.
All of it.
Imagine Hulk, an angry version of Hulk, running around space with like savage beast mentality, and then mix that with a little bit of Saga. So yeah, I would say that. Take a little bit of Saga and take a Planet Hulk who's turned bad instead of good. Actually, if anything, instead of Hulk, take the leader that was there before Hulk. Because if you read Planet Hulk and you know that Hulk is there was actually another dictator who was there before him, and that guy was a horrible monster. So imagine that guy and mix that with Saga and go on a space adventure. Oh, and throw in a poor man's Han Solo. And there you go.
I was actually going to say, I'll do a revised pitch very, very quick.
Okay.
Imagine Darth Vader and Princess Palpatine, but instead of her dying, she just realized he was a horrible person. And
Princess Palpatine?
Wait, what's her name? I'm mixing up the names.
Are you talking about Padme?
Padme, sorry.
Oh.
Again, morning. Imagine like she didn't die, and she's like, wait, you're a horrible person. I'm out. I'm taking like our kids and bouncing. And then like he's trying to get her back home.
Like Anakin? I guess you could just put Anakin.
Yeah, like Anakin. Like, you know, Anakin is like, what, you left? I want you back. I want the kids back.
I think, if anything, that's probably a more apt description, because
Exactly.
Anakin does have the Empire at his disposal, and we've seen in Star Wars Force Awakens that they do send back information.
Yeah.
Like, people will spy and send information for them. So yeah, okay, that's
when he kills all the sand people because they realize he kills his mom and stuff. So you see like that type of.
That was a metaphor for colored people, by the way.
You said there was a. Yeah.
Why you do that to me? I'm not the token. I'm the token white guy.
I'm not saying
that already.
I'm not saying
We've had
that
enough episodes.
I'm not saying that you're supporting that. I'm just saying whoever wrote that scene was messed up, because these sand people get murdered by the blue-eyed, blonde-haired guy because he's angry. So instead of just killing the one bad sand person, he murders an entire village. Does that not sound like history in this world we live in? Little political, but
You,
yeah.
you,
can't
you
make
also
any
mentioned
comments.
you also mentioned a poor man's Han Solo, but there's also a poor man's Lando in this.
Yeah, there is.
Oh yes,
And he's short. He's so short.
well, he's a little
Super.
person. I actually like
Yeah,
that
but-
they threw that they threw in a little person because there's like, have you ever read a comic book with a little person?
Yeah.
You have?
No.
Well, no.
You know
Other
what's
than
funny?
Puck in
Other than Puck, like, how can you say that?
I was
no, but that's
I
what I'm
was
saying.
reading
Puck's
this.
the only one I can think of.
Still counts.
Oh, okay. So the one little person that
Well, no,
Marvel
and-
allows to exist in an
I was
entire
reading this,
world.
and my girlfriend came up behind me, and she's like, "Why is a little She's like, "Is that a little person?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, I'm reading, turning a few pages, and she's like, "How come the only little person in this is black?" I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't know. Usually there aren't little people in comics, so I guess that's an advancement.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, you're right. Why is the only little person?
Mixoplix?
Why isn't the bodyguard
Mixoplix
black?
isn't a little person. He's
Yeah,
from
he
a
is.
planet where they're all that size. That's
Yeah.
not a little.
Now who's racist?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. That's like saying, yeah, okay, that's fair. They're all little people, Brian. Why is that a problem? Okay, you got me there. All this to say, the comic is interesting. We're going to definitely have a lot to talk about when we get to the review section. But first, we're starting it off with Judgment Call. Dave, do you want to tell the people what Judgment Call is?
Judgment
I'll
Call.
do it.
Tobes, hit them.
Yeah, for sure.
Hit them, Toby.
Judgment Call. This is a segment where one of us will be the judge, and two of us will go head to head, one character in hand, defending our characters to the bitter end. And then, once we've done making a case for each of our characters, we actually will take some time, just like in court, to tear down the other person's argument, the other person's, I guess, defendant. You're both kind of defendants at the beginning, and then afterwards you turn into prosecutors anyway.
Yeah.
And once that's done, I will be judge, jury, and pretty much executioner at the end of So today we have Doc and Dave going head to head with their characters. I believe Doc is currently picking his character as usual from his giant encyclopedia of superheroes and villains.
Yep.
And Dave's to be ready as usual with his characters in hand and notes as usual. So I will let Dave go first.
Not good at improvising.
Doc, do you want to put the timer on your screen, or you want me to keep the timer?
You can keep the timer, but I'll also put one up here, and just
Okay.
so that we have.
Perfect. And I will tell you when to go. Dave, in 3, 2, 1.
All right, so I'll be choosing Quentin Quire / Kid Omega. He's from the Marvel U. He was a student at the Xavier School underneath Wolverine's reign as the headmaster. He's a Omega level mutant with psionic powers, telepathy, telekinesis, superhuman intellect, and he also is able to create weapons like Psylocke. His weapon of choice is creating a psionic shotgun. He's just a very interesting student. He's still depicted as a younger person right now, later teens, early 20s maybe. He dances the line of superhero and terrorist basically throughout his career. He's always been propelled in situations where he does good, where at the same time he's torn about being an evildoer. He feels like that's like his mantra, that he's always destined to be this. However, he's always affiliated with the X-Men and eventually always turns good, although he's done tons of terrorist acts. So it's interesting to see a character that's conflicted. He has a lot underneath his belt for someone who's not really had much of time in the spotlight, so to speak. Some of this includes helping the Xavier School gain money by scamming a prison. Scamming a space casino. I was reading too many notes at the same time. He also helps the X-Men by taming Krakoa and making it their security system at the school. He's infiltrated the Hellfire Club in order to save his fellow students. He eventually graduates from the Xavier School. to become independently wealthy, and even becomes the new White King of the Hellfire Club, where he kind of, again, makes the Hellfire Club kind of good, kind of bad. The reason why I'm really interested in this character is because he sees a future version of himself where you see that he has the Phoenix Force in him. To be honest, to sum this character up, he's basically a mix of Jean Grey in the sense that he has the Phoenix Force, and Professor X because he has the Omega level psionic telepathy. He's also a mixture of Cyclops and Magneto because he'll never leave a student behind. However, he'll always do what he needs to do to get the job done. And the last point is that he was made by Grant Morrison, and Grant Morrison, anything that he makes and anything he touches is, well, frankly, gold. He's not really done much that's bad, and he's a character that I feel that he is the future of X-Men. I really feel like he's going to be the new leader at one point in time, or at least a very mainstay character such as like a Jean or a Professor X. He is the Jean Grey or Professor X of the future. That's all I'll say. Short.
Okay. Oh, well, not that short. It was 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
I usually go beyond.
That's true. Okay, not a bad case. Kid Omega. Interesting. All right, Doc, you ready?
Yep.
And go.
Hey everybody, today I'm going to be talking about a doctor, someone who is important, someone who's helped minds, someone who's healed minds, someone who's helped save the world not by force but by helping guide the minds of broken people. I'm talking about Doc Samson, a psychiatrist in the Marvel Universe who's been known to help someone like the Hulk and has appeared in other situations with the Thunderbolts and such other characters. Now, one of the reasons I feel Doc Samson is important is because we are in an era of comic books where the story of power and OP characters has been done to death. It has. OP characters are, a dime a dozen these days. Characters are just being written with insane amount of power. There's no limits to them anymore. They just keep tacking onto them. And, some kids might be even made to be almighty beings that take over an entire world in the future, and you might need someone to level that out, like a psychiatrist, someone who can talk to them, someone who can make them realize their potential, and someone who can try and, if anything, curb those evil tendencies that a character might have. And Doc Samson is that type of character. The advantage of a character like him is he can touch on a lot of different aspects of the universe. One of the things that he could do is you could have, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they have some TV series where you have a psychiatrist and he talks to their patients and so on and so forth. You could have a comic book where it's literally like Damage Control. It's the behind the scenes aspects of how the heroes are broken and react to some of the pain and some of the things that they deal with in these world. You're talking about characters who face real hardships, losing friends, dying themselves, coming back to life, dealing with a universe that they're not used to, going into space, almost dying on a regular basis. But there's never any addressing mental health. And this is the type of character who can deal with mental health. But let us not forget, he's also incredibly powerful. The guy has fought the Hulk, he's fought many other characters, and I'm not saying he fights them to a standstill, but the fact that he can even jump in the ring with them goes to show that he has the potential as a character to do some very interesting things. I think that if you're going to try and write a story about someone who can help address mental health in any universe, Marvel, DC, Image, it doesn't matter, Doc Samson is the type of character that I would want to see get written more about, because that's the type of thing we need now. In a world where we are starting to address mental health more, we might need a comic book where we need mental health to be addressed in a different way. And doing it with a character like Doc Samson, addressing it with someone like Bruce Banner directly, and not just doing it as a panel in a story, but full stories themselves, could help people in the long term. And as much as it might not be the most fun to read, it could be the one that actually saves lives. And not just in fighting Galactus, but actually saving real lives in the real world. There you go, guys. That's my beautiful pitch for Doc Samson.
You have such a pitching voice. It's not fair.
2 minutes and 54 seconds. Man, that was a pretty good statement from both of you.
I'm dying here. This guy's been up for hours prepping for this.
You stayed up for hours. It's too early in the morning. Maybe we should start moving these a little later so you become fresh-brained.
These people have to just wake up and get in front of their computer. I'm the one who has to travel for this shit. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
Okay.
First person to tear down the other person's argument, I'm going to say Doc.
All right.
You go first.
So, sorry, what was your character's name again? Charles Xavier Jr., Phoenix Jr., Quentin Quality Control, mentally broken kid who has too much potential but not sure how to use it.
So I'm going to answer it. It's called the future.
Yeah. So, a kid who is basing himself on a future idea, something that we already know is never a good idea in the Marvel Universe because time is not linear. So to make the decisions that might lead to the actions is already a dangerous way to play the game. And he's also one of the snottiest kids you've ever seen. If you read the comic book, he's outright disgustingly annoying. When Cyclops says to Wolverine in a comic book once, one day these kids will wear a t-shirt that says Cyclops was right, the only kid who ever do that was Quentin. He's the type of kid that thinks by any means necessary means it's okay to be a jerk and rude and disgusting and disrespectful and put other people's lives at risk. Sure, he'll step up when he has to. I will give him credit where credit's due, but he only does that when he thinks it's for the betterment of who he is as a character and not for the general purpose of saving lives. That's all I gotta say on that kid.
That's right on time. Man, okay.
That's rough.
Dave, I don't know what you got, but you gotta come out.
All right,
you gotta come out swinging here. Ready?
Okay,
and go.
So he had watered down Gamma Kool-Aid. That's what your character's about. You know, like he can't hold. Like, sure, he's gone to fights, and he's not won those fights. He's been beaten to the ground. So, not someone I really want to. Not a role model for me. Not a role model. I don't really want to read about the loser. Second of all, I'll give you the psychology thing. That's really cool. But like, you know, when I think about like TV shows and things I liked, like that person was really, really annoying. I don't read Harley Quinn for when she's Harley Quinzel. I read it for when she's a psychopath. Sopranos, everyone wanted that stupid psychiatrist bitch to die. Same with even with Flash, they have like him going to relationship counseling in the new version, and that sucks, which is the same type of suck that Samson, whatever his name, Samson, you know, he's actually named after the half-baked character who sells weed. I don't really care about this guy. I'm not down. It's boring. And that long green hair, I mean, come on.
Okay. The long green hair. All right.
That was a very good insult, sir.
Again, people don't understand. This is morning. I'm so thrown off. It sucks.
So, Kid Omega is an interesting character. I agree that he probably is the future of the X-Men based on the fact that they legit gave him everything in terms of ability, and he's almost invulnerable. And you could also see cracks in his personality at times, which makes me doubt that he's the future, because it's very possible he could turn into this sort of Thanos-like character. This sort of like, you know, I'm doing this for the greater good of my people, but end up doing the wrong thing. Because he's also so young with so much power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely at times. Right? But he is a pretty interesting character. There are moments where, you know, and that's what makes him interesting, is the fact that you actually do maybe, will he turn bad? Will he be good? Because there's a moment, I think, I forget which issue now or which run, he's obsessed with one of the Stepford Cuckoos, right?
Yep.
Emma Frost's little band of women there. And they all feel sort of uneasy around him at certain points, because there's something about him they can't quite put their finger on, but Emma Frost kind of dismisses it as academic rivalry, just to put it in layman's terms. So she kind of ignores that, which to me, I'm like, well, I mean, why would you? You're a psychic. You should be able to, you should want to like dig into why your other psychic ladies have an uneasy feeling about this kid, you know? But anyway, I'm sure that'll reveal itself at some point. With Doc Samson, this is pretty interesting. I kind of like that angle. I like that idea of the broken superheroes having someone to fall back on, because all we ever see is how invulnerable they are and how, you know, things like, I would have nightmares if I have to deal with these things on a constant basis. And I don't know, maybe I would think differently if I had powers, but just coming from a human perspective, it would be kind of nice. And there's also a little bit of a background. He doesn't just do that. He also actually is involved in the fight himself. As you know, he was able to take over the Hulk, cure the Hulk for time being. with his, I forget what the name of the ray is now, but he created some ray that was able to kind of like remove the Hulk's powers, but also transfer it to himself, absorb it. So he actually did have some gamma powers.
Yeah.
And
trying to heal Betty Ross, and he then
which he did after he cured Betty, and he also already cured Banner. She started to fall for Doc Samson, and Banner sees this, and he's like, "Crap! This guy comes in and swoops in and takes my woman. I want my powers back." So he goes and gets himself again radiated by gamma rays, so he can get his Hulk powers back. And then Doc Samson, also armed with gamma ray powers, now faces off with the Hulk. And they go head to head, which, as you mentioned before, Dave, Doc loses to the Hulk.
Sadly.
But much to Banner and Hulk's chagrin, Betty actually sympathizes with Doc in this, and she still stays in love with him. So there's some rich history there, and it's a more grounded story. I could see a lot more brokenness, which is why a lot of shows I feel the shows that are coming out nowadays are succeeding, like Legion and Impulse and Cloak and Dagger, when people actually relate more, when people aren't so OP, and there's always a constant sense of danger. With Kid Omega, we're probably better up in an animated series, and with this sort of Doc Samson and Hulk and situation, I can see this playing out in real life. So unfortunately for you, Dave, I am going with Doc Samson.
I feel like Brian should be -1 because no one can see this, but he's like manipulating the environment around me. He's like laughing in my face this whole time, doing these poses, and giving me. You may as well have like glasses on and be like tilting them down, like looking at me, like all like.
Listen, I made a case. I even made a case for both of you.
Yeah.
I actually agree that Kid Omega's story would be interesting. If I did have to pick one, which is the case, and unfortunately for you, you just keep going against someone that seems a little bit more interesting than who you pick.
I respect the decision. I don't respect Brian's tactics.
For the listeners,
gets me here early in the morning, is doing all these weird poses while I'm talking.
For the listeners.
He was snickering while I was making my case.
Yeah, but that's we were all snickering.
Yeah. That's true. It's because he knew where it was headed.
The only reason I snickered is because like there were points I wanted to make that I didn't get to, and you were literally making them as you were passing.
I know. I made points for both of you.
Yeah. No, I know. It was just great to hear, like, you know, all the things that I wanted, all the things I was just like, man, I wish I'd said this, and then you were like, and then he did. I was like, excellent. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just giving our listeners more in-depth because they might not know about these two characters.
Yeah.
And as always, when we're done with these two characters, guys, go out and look them up, read their issues and runs, and make that decision for yourself. But for today, the winner, because we do have to pick one, is Doc Holliday for Doc Samson. And our cannon fodder, unfortunately, today is Dave and Kid Omega.
Green-haired Fabio over there, promoting over here. That's what I should have said. If this would have been an hour later.
That would have been a good line, actually.
Right.
Okay, yeah, actually, that was good. Thank you. That was fun. So we're going to get back into our next segment. This one is called The Review. Guys, we're going to be talking about, once again, Empress, written by Mark Millar and art by Stuart Immonen, from 2006. It is a 7-issue run that includes the characters of Emporia. She is the queen. King Morax, who is the kind of space dictator. Their kids, Adam, Ain, and Puck. And then you have Dame Havelock.
Emphasis on the dictator.
Oh. And then we get introduced to Tor Blinder who, later on, who is the what were you saying? Poor man's Lando Calrissian. I don't know. He's a techno kinesis. That's pretty cool.
Is he though?
He is.
Is he though? Because we only get to see that like
at the
later, and his technokinesis is limited to ancient technology.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not sure how relevant or useful he would be in a modern world to me. He got super lucky in one of those scenes.
Yeah, only because they were cheap and didn't upgrade their ships did he have the advantage, which was pretty funny.
So I don't need him. I would prefer Puck on my team.
Like the baby?
Not Puck. What's his name? The older,
Adam.
the middle child.
Yeah,
Adam, the middle child, because he's super smart and he can literally
turn anything.
leave any tech around him. He's Rocket Raccoon.
Yes, it's true. That's true. Okay, so we'll start off by explaining a little bit. We already said it in our kind of elevator pitch, but the story is about King Morax. He's an emperor, and I will say this. One of the things I like about this, and Toby, I think you'll agree, we don't get an origin story here. I mean, we don't. It doesn't start off with us being like, okay, so who is this king, this dictator? Where does he come from? What's his backstory? What's her backstory? What's Dave Havelock's backstory? You don't get that. It literally starts with an execution in honor, dedicated to the queen. And my favorite moment in issue 1, like her first line, it's like the king turns to her and says, "For you, my queen," and she goes, "Thank you, husband," and then turns to her bodyguard and is just like, "We need to get out of here."
Yes,
and that is like the best.
That.
Yeah,
I love that. You made the point, and I think we're gonna keep making this until it becomes the norm with the whole origin story thing.
Yeah,
just drop me in the world and let my imagination run wild. Yeah. Let me make up for myself. Oh man, how did they get here? I wonder what happened. Yeah. Oh, but this is crazy. I want to see where this goes. And then once this story is done, once this run is done, if the audience actually wants a prequel or wants to know more about one character, then you can go back and make me a prequel. Yeah. But I don't need the original story to be an origin story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And it actually helps that this one, I mean, not to spoil the end because we're going to get to it, but it helps a lot that you don't have the origin here.
No.
The reveals come as the story runs, right? Well, so you actually do learn as you go.
Well, it's like it's a reverse. It's a reverse the origin story in this to a certain degree. Not to spoil it too much there, but like with how the ending goes. And I agree, being thrown into the mix. But the thing about what Mark does well, this is something that you always have to take into consideration when you're trying to go like wheels turning the second you hit the floor running type of thing, is you have to make it both intriguingly okay. It's like, because excuse me, when you start off, it's like it's an execution, so right away you got the reader's attention.
Yeah, true.
But it's how the interactions go. It's how you kind of like actions are always louder than words, and I find the actions that happen, especially in the first 2 issues, it's like you learn a lot about people just by how they're reacting. Like right away, the second you heard the daughter talk, you're like, okay, you're a badass, but you're clearly also a little shit. Like I got that like right away. Yeah. When she was talking to her mom for the first time.
Yeah, she's a teenager. Yeah. And they really do the job of being like, she's a teenager. I don't know if she's daddy's little girl, but she definitely has a strong connection to her father and also the religion, because there's a religion that they practice, and the father is, I guess, actually, like, when I say father, I mean King Morax is actually a practitioner. She follows in his footsteps. She is the heir apparent to the throne, and, so there's a lot of factors as to why it's in her interest to want to stay close to her father, but at the same time... Sorry, go ahead.
And she doesn't hate her mom. Funny enough, because of how she's feeling and her whole, like, she's the heir apparent to the throne. She has a destiny. She has a future already planned out for her, and you can see that she actually wants that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she actually loves her mom because she listens to her mom until it becomes apparent that maybe her mom's interests are not quite exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Or her mom's interests are not quite exactly for the kids. It might be more of a personal sort of
vendetta,
I guess. Yeah, it's sort of a personal thing for the mom and not necessarily for the kids, which is how the mom, she tells them, oh, it's for you guys. And then I'm not running away with the butt. Oh, by the way, just to go back at the beginning, because we're kind of skipping ahead here. This starts out with King Morax in sort of a gladiator scene. He's overlooking 3 prisoners that they have, and he's telling them, hey, you have a choice. You can either fight me in this gladiator circle, or you can fight the beast. And of course, people, obviously, because they're so scared of the king, they're like, no, sir, I would not rather fight you. I would rather fight the beast. I'm sorry, but if I know I'm already going to die, I'd probably take my chance with the king and not a beast, like a monster.
Would you rather fight a human or a lion? I'd rather try with a human, guys.
Basically, at this point.
So as this is going on in the gladiator arena, we skip to Queen Emporia, who is getting dressed by her maids, and she says literally, I can't have my kids growing up with this madness. We need to get out of here now. This is our chance. And she's speaking to her bodyguard, who, going back to my explanation of earlier, is the daughter is like, well, are you leaving for us, or are you trying to just run away with your lover?
Yeah.
And the mom is like, well, no, I'm doing it for you. And then she is doing it for the kids, but she also didn't admit that, yeah, there is something there with my bodyguard, which you get to find out later.
I mean,
and that's kind of...
At first, I really did think that Dave, like, well, his Havelock, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught on, but as you read through the whole story, they continuously make references to how lucky this guy is, and his name is, like, Havelock, and I figured it was, like... It's like a reference to like he has luck.
Oh,
like
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, because it's only when I was writing it out earlier today that I was like, oh, have luck. Okay, I get that. Yeah. Because every time, he's just like, I mean, at one point in the story, one of the like someone says to him, "We sent X many men because we've heard how well you seem to get out of these types of situations, and it seemed like it was worth it to have this many men to try and capture you." And then another scene, he takes on like 28 robot guards.
Well, there's one of them, he infiltrates a base like by himself, and they're like timing it. They're like, "So how much? Give him another 30 seconds, and we can start walking, and we'll just walk in." And they're like, "What? We're good. We're good. He's just let him do his thing."
So yeah, that's the thing. So back to what Toby was saying, Havelock and her. And that's the thing. At first, when you first meet the character, I really did think he genuinely cared about her, but more in the sense of like, I'm the bodyguard. I care about her. I've seen what the type
and the kids.
Yeah, I care about her and the kids, and I want anything to happen to them. But I was hoping there wasn't going to be a romantic angle. I was actually hoping.
Honestly, so was I. But it didn't take away too much from it. It actually kind of was needed a little bit to advance the story. I get it because it's what sets off the daughter to be like, well, you lied to me. Now I'm going to call dad and have him come find us exactly where we are. You're like, no. But at the same time, you're like, well, I guess it does. It does have to happen. And this is one thing about the pacing of this. Of these 7 issues, by the way, it's 7 issues that we read, right? This first run.
It's 7 issues.
It was fast.
Yeah, it's because
the pacing was fast.
They had no thought bubbles.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Which is actually something that I was going to make a comment about. I think that's what creates the mystery here.
That's very interesting.
You don't know what anyone's thinking. They have to say what they're thinking to somebody else. Whereas usually when you have
I've never noticed
when
that.
you have a origin story, the person, like example, if you take Batman for example, classic person always reflects on his own things. Oh, this is when they died. Oh, I'm in the room. I'm in the location. Oh, I remember how it sounded. No.
Right.
That could take up a lot of dialogue, and then the fact that you take all that out and you're learning about people as they go. The only thing you can do is actions and words.
Oh yeah,
you have no in-depthness.
That is very interesting.
So that quickens the pace because like if we were to compare, because we stack up when we're doing these things. If you compare this to the White Knight that we will be reviewing at some point, which is the complete opposite, and I thought it was actually a very long read. Although I think the issues themselves were actually longer than the average comic book.
Probably, yeah.
Like I think it's a $4.99 book as opposed to a $3.99 book. Where this one's a $2.99 book, which is obviously a $2.99 one, but the pace is definitely done because of that, and because they allow all the actions to speak for themselves. And in regards to like Dane, one thing that I thought was always wicked is that this guy has some skill.
He does.
Like when he picks them. There's one point when he has to get the princess and her daughter. Like they have the ship there, the transportation device that they have there.
Oh, shit.
And they're like, oh, yeah, we got it. And he's like, okay, I'll be there in a second. He busts through with a car, drives it like sideways, scoops them up, drives off. He's like, oh, take the wheel, jumps out of the car, kills a bunch of people, falls back into the car because like, oh, by the way, the car's like a hover car. So this is all happening like hundreds of miles in the air. So you see him killing all these people, and then he just like falls in the passenger seat driving off, and you're like,
that's why that reminded me of the same way how Doc was like have luck. It reminded me of Domino in that same way. Like I'm just gonna jump out of the car, kill people, and it's just gonna work out.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm gonna fall back into the car after I'm done.
Yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't overthink it. Yeah. And you're just like, I was reading it. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna overthink this a little bit because there's something like, you know, your ability to just ignore physics and logic. Like, you're not a superhero. Why are you able to just do all this? But, you know, I mean, as we said...
It reminded me of the movie Wanted. There's a scene where Angelina Jolie's character is driving the super fast car, and she opens the door as she's driving and does a 360 and somehow snags... Scoop, I forget his name right now. Oh, my gosh. It scoops the main character.
James McAvoy.
His character. Yeah. Professor X, scoots his character into the car while still driving at high speeds somehow. So it's that kind of like that same scene. But going back to your point about
I really do.
Going back, what were you saying about the daughter just before?
Well, I was saying
she had a what's it called?
The bratty
a
teen.
Quill moment.
She definitely had a Peter Quill moment.
Oh yeah, like when she calls her dad, I'm like, why didn't you just give him the Infinity Stones and the Gauntlet at the same time, bitch? What the hell's wrong with you?
And this is about 6 or 7 issues in. She called it that, right? I think issue 6.
It's pretty much towards the end that she does it. Oh, actually,
the end, right?
Why did we not say this is a story of what would happen if you married Thanos? That's like the perfect description.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it would be Thanos as a lord with some
He
wife.
actually kind of looks like he has
a little
features.
Bit.
He reminded me of like, it was weird. It was like Hellboy and Thanos.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Essentially, he will remind you of every horrible dictator, and he's drawn like a huge beast of a monster man.
Yeah.
Which only makes me think of that poor woman. She's probably running because just the sex alone was a bad thing. Like,
well, he's also drawn like kind of devilish. As well, right? And that's like
classic devil, like the red skin, the yellow eyes. That's true. Good old Morax.
Yeah, so think of a world. I don't know if you guys watch Voltron, but think of a world where the Emperor actually runs the whole universe. Yeah. So no matter where you go, literally within seconds of you being there, you're recognized right away as being wanted, and you can't stay there for long. So they do have this teleportation device called Ship,
which is dope.
Which is super dope.
Yeah.
But this thing can only jump. It's kind of like Nightcrawler in a sense.
Yes.
Where it can't jump somewhere it doesn't see or can't see, and it needs to see the sky. So it's a little ball machine.
It's a sphere.
It's a sphere that floats, and it's kind of sentient, I guess, too.
Yeah. It almost looks like an OMAC ball thing. If you guys remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Exactly. So it's kind of like they tell it, we need you to jump now, and it's jumping from point to point. So it actually can't jump to their destination immediately in one shot. It needs to go in sequence. It needs to jump from one planet to another to another to another in order to get to the destination. But they need to do it, quickly because everywhere they go, they can't live. They can't rest for 2 seconds. They're attacked.
Morax has snitches everywhere. It's intense. Sorry,
but it's not just that. I was going to just say, I find that Ship, although really a cool thing, because it's obviously to a certain degree sentient, especially with how Tor talks to him.
Yeah, Tor is legit broken up when things happen with Ship later on.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there is like some type of like, it's just like how you have sometimes there's people have like a machine or whatever, and they talk to it, and it's like beep beep beep, and you're like, right, like how they talk, it's like how exactly. I was about to say, so they have like that type of relationship. But like one thing I have to say, Ship, you're dumb. Like transport them like in a safe zone. Every time you get transported for a while, they're like, oh, we're drowning. Oh, we're in a frozen lake. We're in a lava pit. Like, can you like at least take some time?
We're meant to believe that Ship is sort of on the fritz.
Oh, is that what you thought? I just thought he couldn't.
At the beginning.
Oh, it's true because Adam's playing with it because he has to disassemble the thing that's the tracker, and then maybe I could see that. I missed that when I was reading it.
When you get introduced to Ship and Thor, so what it is Dane Havelock has shown up with the royal family. They've escaped, and Thor is his ticket out, quote unquote, because Thor. Yeah, sorry. Thor Blinder. So Tor Blinder is just like, he has this ship, which is a teleporter, who's supposed to get them places, but he lost it in a bet to the guy who runs the planet, under Morax.
Yeah.
So once again,
this is why I say he's Lando. That's just a straight up Lando move to gamble away. That's how he lost the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So, when you meet him, you're kind of just like, you feel sorry for him, but you're also like, you're an idiot, man. Like, come on. Like, why would you lose?
You had one job. Just stay home with the spear and wait till I get there.
I love that
you go out and you gamble it.
He blames Dane. He's just like, why'd you tell me to meet you on a pleasure planet? You know how hard these planets are to resist? It's like, oh, come on, man. But
if it's like honor amongst thieves or like outlaws, like you don't like bring him to a safe house is not like a big place where you could like bet all your soul away and whatnot. I don't think that's like. I agree, hiding in plain sight, but there's also like because they suggest that they know each other a little bit, you know. So it's like, oh, you have a gambling problem, so here's chill at this casino with all my money, and you know you just hold, but you stay there. You don't bet that money.
You don't spend a dime.
You know, so I think that a little bit of Dane's fault in that.
Okay.
So I want to go back also to Morax and the Queen's relationship, Emporia here for a minute.
Okay.
In the very first issue, when they met, she was a waitress.
Yeah.
In the nightclub, right?
Yeah.
And
covering a shift.
Covering a shift.
Yeah, she says she's covering her friend's shift because her friend is sick, and she's not really a waitress. So, and then Morax, being in a club, asks Emporia what's her name. This is like at the very beginning, you know, before they got married and everything. And he's like, "You don't look like a waitress. There's something special about you, something regal." And she's like, "Thank you." And then he's like, "Tell your boss your days are over here. You're coming with me as my wife, and you're gonna make me some healthy sons." There is one thing that didn't really stick out while I was reading this, where he says that, "As far as I'm concerned, any name from your past ever uttered will be executed. Do you understand?" And she's like, "Sounds all right to me." So she comes off as like enamored with this. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave my old life behind." Again, no origin story, so you don't even know why she
There's no
tries
context.
to say yes. There's no context to her saying yes. So as I'm reading this, I'm like, "Oh,
you're crazy."
I guess you're crazy. She just thought it was gonna be a good life, and now it's not. You know, that kind of situation. But it didn't leave me curious about her past. But it does make me.
Because she's willing to throw it away so easily, and I agree with you. The fact that she's willing to just say, "Yeah, that's cool, I don't care," and you're like, whoa. Anyone else, you'd be like, "Do you want to take a moment?" But in that moment, she's just like, "Nah, I'm good." Sorry, Dave. What are you about to say?
Well, no, it's because I was going to add on. When I read that, because at that point, when you're reading it, the only thing you knew up until that point, I think she had mentioned right before that I think she was talking to her daughter. She's like, I wasn't proud of my life before, and I wasn't proud of how I made money.
Yeah.
And then you see the scene, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm taking a night off of what I usually do, and I'm going to be a waitress." So like, I'm sorry, like right away, I'm like, okay, so you're a prostitute. Oh, like that's where my brain went. Or you're a druggie, or you're something. Yeah. In my head, I was like, you're either that, or because the whole like, oh, I'm going to give up everything. I actually thought like, okay, so in reality, she's either a prostitute and she doesn't care about anything, or she not necessarily a prostitute, but like, you know, something low gutter or whatever, like lowbrow.
But nothing for you to be curious enough to look deeper into. You just assumed based on what based on her actions, you assumed, and you were okay with that assumption. Unfortunately,
and once again, because there's no thought bubbles, it wasn't like she's thinking, "If only he knew."
Yeah, exactly.
Because then I might be interested. But the fact that she literally just throws it away with the snap of a finger. Sorry, Dave.
That's what's good, and that's what's good about the whole thing that Dave mentioned with the thought bubbles not being there, which changed things for me a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that's how when you meet someone, you don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
This is real. So you're actually, what we're perceiving, the assumptions we're making is based on the information that the other person is feeding us always. Yeah. And this is exactly what's happening in this comic book.
And then we
just don't know until they say something.
Yeah. And the other thing, I had two thoughts of it. So that was one, it was like, you know, lowbrow, or B, what he doesn't understand is like, she has an even worser dad who's an even bigger tyrant. And like, that's where I thought the end was going. Like, oh yeah, she's going to be saved because her dad's going to come in and be like, "You stole my daughter or whatever." And I'm going to like, I am Thanos and I am going to kill you now. That was where I was going.
That's an interesting angle too.
That would have been super cheap. I would have been very disappointed if that was what it was.
If there was just a bigger bad?
Yeah, because he would have known about the bigger bad.
That's true.
It's like he's the bigger bad.
Yeah, he's the biggest bad. That's the point.
The biggest bad. Yeah, everyone's scared of him. If she had a dad who really was like pissed off and super powerful, he would have showed up a long time ago.
That's fair. I still don't hate the idea though of seeing a bigger but I like the way they actually end it. And we'll talk about that in a few seconds. But anyway, sorry, Dave, I'll let you go first.
No, I just wanted to add like one little like funny comment here, because this was Doc's suggestion. You like to suggest books where guys just smush brains.
Is that
like, you remember we were reading Saga, and then the Will, when he goes to that sextillion,
same exact thing.
He smashes the guy's brain by just putting his two hands on it and crushing him. Yeah. So what happens when Morax goes to like the first?
Yeah, so the guy that
Tor
Blinder gets the guy that he lost the ship to, that teleportation device. That guy is like we mentioned, he's like the emperor of that planet. And then when Morax shows up after they've escaped that guy, Morax is just like, okay, tell me what happened. Then he tells him, and he's just like, "Well, this is useless." And then
and then he just extends his hands. Yep. It's the exact same thing. Like I took the two scenes. I'm like, it's like almost.
It's exact.
I thought initially, I'm like, did Mark Millar write both of these for a second? I'm like, no, I know they didn't. And he just extends his hands and just like smushes his brains into nothing. And I'm like, Brian has some type of fetish.
The artwork is very. That's why it was very reminiscent of Saga. The artwork is very similar. Although this one comes off a little bit more rudimentary than Saga. Saga is cleaner in terms of lines and I guess coloring than this one is. Yeah. And I think it's done on purpose to kind of differentiate the two for sure, because he knew there was similarities. Millar did. Yeah, I truly did enjoy this read a lot. Even though the pacing was really fast, it's way faster than Saga because Saga does a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Whereas this one really just says, hey, like, we're in this world and just enjoy the ride. And it was kind of cool. I really thoroughly enjoyed this a lot. Now, what I did want you to do, though, Doc, before we go any further into the story, could you read me the first two sentences of that elevator pitch again? If you can bring it up.
Imagine you're married to the worst bad guy from your favorite sci-fi movie, an alien dictator feared throughout the universe who will kill you if you leave. But you need to escape for the sake of your 3 children.
Okay, and the next one after that?
Oh, that's the life of Queen Emporia. All she has is her wits, her bodyguard, and 3 guns to get her kids across the galaxy, and her husband Morax. Okay, sorry.
Now, I don't like that it says the story is so focused on her, because it's not. Like, she is the catalyst. She's the reason why they're escaping.
Yeah.
But she is not, they're not relying on her wits or nothing. There's nothing to do with her here. It's everyone else.
It's true. I will say that.
Everyone is moving their story along. She is Empress, and it's called Empress, and I could see where it's going. But the elevator pitch for it shouldn't have been, it's weird. I feel like it should have been changed a bit. I don't know. It just didn't speak to me as that this was her story. It's the story of everyone else in the bait. It's the story of how the decision she made to be with Morax affects everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite character, and the character that you mentioned, who's kind of just side notes in most of the story, Adam.
Yeah, he's
Adam
awesome.
He's awesome. Adam as this MacGyver, Rocket Raccoon character who is, as street kids would say, too soft. He's too soft. He's too sweet. He said
it himself. He actually said, if Dad ever caught us, he would kill me because I'm too soft.
Yeah, it's true. Those are the exact words.
Adam as a character is essentially, if you're a nerd, he's us, because he's that kid who, his dad's a jock. He's the lead quarterback of the college football team, and his son is the nerd who wins the science fair, but it's on a scale that's so much bigger, because it's not just a football field, it's the galaxy, it's not just a science fair, it's you can literally turn anything into anything. They were once on a dust planet that all the ships were just scrapped because no one could get out, because there's a 24-hour-a-day volcano eruption that's throwing ash into the atmosphere, blocking out all signs of the sun and everything. And Adam developed an engine that would have got them out of the atmosphere, which they don't really get to use because of a whole bunch of other crazy things that happen. But the fact that he could do that from the scraps, and everyone else is just standing there. Literally, Tor says, while we've all been moping around, this kid took all the junk and built something. Yeah. And you're like, Jesus Christ, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, that's why
I actually really want to see more of him and where he goes with this, more than anything, to be honest. Yeah. Especially if he's capable of doing such crazy things. They even said, they're like, oh, all we have is a bunch of junk around us that can't do anything. And he's like, no, these are just things people don't know what to do with.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty much is like...
It's basically everyone else needs. It's like the world is built of Legos, and everyone needs the pamphlet. But he's like, my pamphlet's my brain is the pamphlet. I don't need any of this,
100%.
so I'm just going to start playing with my Legos.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. He can see the construction blocks building already before anyone else even knows what's going on. And there was very much a Rocket Raccoon moment where they had them in a cell, and he builds what looks like a Shockwave, the Transformer-sized cannon, and blows a huge hole into just blows the door down and knocks out the guard. And that led to one of my next favorite scenes, which is, and I'm guessing that's how you pronounce her name, Annie, the daughter.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Aine because it's probably French, but honestly, there's no action, there's no accent on the E or anything, so it's just Aine, I guess.
But I'm gonna tie what she does to the end of the story because it's I got it at the end. So he blows the door down. They've been captured by slavers. The slavers like to take children because children are easily manipulated. Mm-hmm. They break easier than adults because adults want to escape. If they've been free, children just adapt to lives, is what they were saying. Yeah. And they have the 3 kids. Annie is the oldest one, so she's definitely like, well, I'm not about this life. I'm not going to be a slave. Sorry. Meanwhile, they have Puck, the baby, who's going to be fetch the highest price because literally a baby just gets programmed into being a slave. If that's all you ever know, then that's what you're going to be.
Right.
So Adam builds the gun, knocks him down, and then Annie comes out and she's just like, now it's my turn, and goes on this wild kick-ass, taking down everybody in her path. There's this girl shooting at her, and the girl's like, stay down, damn it. And she's like sliding, flip kick, upside down. She's like a combination of Gamora and Elektra and every badass female fighter you've ever seen, Okoye, all of them, just in that one moment.
Yes. And I actually like that. This was just unexpected because she was so bratty and whiny. And when they were in trouble before, what'd she do? She literally sat down in the yoga pose and started praying.
Oh, yeah.
So in the lotus pose. In the lotus pose. There you go. Sorry for being, I don't know if that was disrespectful or not. But yeah, and that's all she did was just pray and said the light will guide us and blah, blah, blah. So you're thinking, okay, like she's a crackpot. Like she's not.
She's a hippie.
There's no purpose to her here. And then all of a sudden she says, my turn, and unleashes the beast. And it was pretty great.
And my favorite thing is she essentially says, I am my father's daughter. Like she alludes to the fact that, but then later on, and this is the part that's really awesome for the readers, when you finally get to the end, you find out that the Empress is actually one of the most badass warriors in the galaxy. And that's the part that it was like, the fact that this is revealed at the end makes it all the more interesting as a read, because you're just like, wait, what?
But it's like, how strong is Aine really, if you think about it? Like at that point, because it's like Goku having sex with like Vegeta and having like
having sex with Vegeta?
Like let's say Goku and Vegeta, like one of them was a girl, one of them was a guy. Well, they're both guys, but like let's say one of them if they were able to have a baby, like how strong would that be? That's like that's like the mentality. Like
because Morax is this hugely powerful guy. And you don't know Empress's power limit, but then you find out at the end she wipes the floor with Morax.
Rex. Like it's like CM Punk UFC fight, like gets schooled.
Yeah. Sorry, Tobes?
But you know what? So with Aine, going back to her for a sec, when it was revealed that she's a super amazing warrior, again, we don't know anything about the mom at this point. We just know Aine has this crazy, incredible fighting ability.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking that at that point that her dad, she's super close with him. That's why she didn't want to leave, and that's why she wants to go back. And also that she's been trained by him this whole time to be just as deadly. But so you're kind of like tricked into believing there's such a strong father-daughter connection here. And there's a point where she actually does make the call once she finds her mom and Dane in bed together.
Yeah.
Which
was a huge mistake.
We'll discuss again in a bit, but. When she sees that, she gets angry. She's like, she told us it was for us, but no, it's for her. And, the angst. This is where the teenager side comes out. And she runs out rebellious and all and hits the home beacon. Dad, come and get us. Like it's over. I want to be by your side. And then on the flip side, we see him receive that call. And he's like, I knew she'd be the one.
Yeah. Because he manipulated from the beginning.
They're like, oh, crap. Like, dude, he knew that his daughter was always going to be his heir apparent was going to be the one to bring everybody back to justice and blah, blah, blah. Now, when he finds them and she sees her dad and she starts running towards him.
Oh, yeah, this is rough.
She realizes, he pretty much says, no, you all ran away together anyway. I can't let any of you live.
Yeah.
And pie faces her to the ground. I want to add that.
Yeah.
Like he pie faces. Like the second she walks up, she just hand to the face, straight to the ground. You're like, he's like, screw you. I can't believe you left me. And you're like, that's rough.
He essentially says, don't ever speak again. And then when she does speak later, he says, did I not tell you to shut up? Like he didn't even say it as in like, I'm mad at you, maybe we'll talk this out later.
No.
He was legit saying, don't ever speak in my presence again, I'm going to kill you.
He treats her like a slave instantly. It goes from you're my daughter to like you are beneath. You're not just beneath me, you're like at the bottom rung.
Yeah, I mean, not even just like a slave, like a object that he's gonna throw away. Because he really is planning to kill them all.
Like a toy. It's like a toy that he had fun with. Like, I had fun with your mother. I got a second toy. Great. Bye. You're cheap. And he throws it away.
It's kind of rough.
That's so crazy.
But I mean, I don't agree with what he's doing, but I understand what he was saying.
Yeah,
he was saying that if I can't control my wife. And if my house isn't in order, why would anyone respect me? It's going to put a target on my head.
And it's also going to make me constantly think, when are they going to do it again?
Yeah.
I won't be able to focus. So ultimately, it makes sense. It's just pretty rough that someone is willing to dispose of their family just like that.
Agreed.
Well, he's like the embodiment of...
crazy abusive ex.
Yeah. Not just that.
But like in ultra form.
No, but not just that, but like
Super Saiyan X.
He's obviously huge on respect. I'm trying to make a point, boys.
Oh, sorry.
No, but like he's obviously a huge dictator. He's obviously huge about respect because that's how he garners everything.
Yeah.
But he's like the epitome of, in my opinion, social media. Because anytime something bad happens and people are there, he's like, instead of deleting the tweet, he deletes everybody who saw the tweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
like that's how he rules.
That's what he's been doing with everyone. Even if he's like, we need to make an example with you guys. So whenever they go on a planet and they escape from whatever guards or whatever those bounty hunters are, he literally kills everyone because he says the next people who encounter them will know not to let my family escape because I killed all of you guys. So he literally rules with the proverbial iron fist. And he says, do you really think letting you guys stay alive, letting you guys stay alive is a constant reminder of your disobedience?
Yeah.
So slaughtering you in the arena will restore honor to my family name.
Yeah.
But he does he does that through the whole thing though, because example, if you start, he does it from beginning to end. So he starts, there's the slaves. Oh, but we killed the guy that the shops or whoever, someone stole from him, and that's why the people are in the pit there or whatever.
Yes.
It's something petty. He's like, oh, but you guys should have killed him. You shouldn't have let him even like try to get away. So now you guys will die because you guys weren't smart enough to like go beyond your means, like beyond your measure.
Yeah, the idea was just like, oh, this person committed a crime, and your job as my not underlings, but my citizens or people of my court is to, you should have killed that guy. But by just calling him out and trying to stop him, you didn't do enough. Which is,
they put him in prison or something, and then he kills the guy in prison. Then he kills them.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to the casino planet. Oh, okay, so you let him get away, so I'm going to kill you. Oh, my armies went against my orders, or they weren't good enough, so I'm going to destroy my entire army."
He destroys his whole army and then has a new army. Yeah. That is pretty crazy.
Then you go to when he meets the daughter. He's like, "Oh, well, you guys didn't do what I want, so now I'm going to kill." Like, you see a pattern here, right?
Yeah.
He obviously, he's making up for other shortcomings, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
you know what would have been good though, if he had someone like Doc Samson to help him work through these.
Yeah, I think he would have killed him anyways, because he'd be like, he didn't fix it. And screw your green hair, Fabio.
And then when they finally find the family, towards the end there, he doesn't want Dane to fight in the arena. He wants to face Dane head to head right there, right at that moment, to like prove like, hey, I will kill you
on the banker's planet.
Yeah, and Dane is like, well, I guess I'll do it. And then she's like, no. And he's like, I guess I'll fight. Like, let me see.
Dane was funny though, because Dane's just like, yeah, okay. Like, he's just like, fine, we'll go to the pit. He's like, whoa, homeboy. Morax is like, homeboy, you don't get the honor of touching the planet again. I'm gonna kill you right now. and Dane's like, okay, I guess.
And then they start to fight, and he's destroying the hell out of Dane. And then Emporia comes out of nowhere and says, leave him alone. Fight me. If you're going to fight anyone, I'm the one who made him do it. He's like, get her out of here. I don't want her to listen to the whining.
He was like dismissing. Yeah,
dismissing because she's just a woman, right?
Yeah, that was.
And she's like, "What's the matter?" And then she goes for the ego.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
She goes straight for the ego. She's like, "What's the matter? Are you afraid of me?"
That's like Back to the Future. Back to the Future style chicken. Like, you chicken? It was so well done.
No, she legit says, "Is that what you want your reputation to be? A king running scared from his queen?" And then they pan to the kids and Tor, and they're all like, "Oh, okay,
mom's gonna die."
Yeah, everyone's like, "Whoa, that's a bad plan, lady." Like, you just saw what he did to Dane, and that was our best lucky fighter. Maybe let's not play this game here.
And then he's like, what weapon? He's like, you know what? There's a smirk on his face. He's like, fine. If you really want to do this here, fine. No arena. I'll get satisfaction anyway. What weapon do you choose? I don't want a weapon. I want to fight you with my bare fists.
Yeah.
and he laughs. Anyway, just seeing how this was going and everything. And then the daughter, thinking that the mom's going to lose and everything's about to fall apart and I'm about to watch my mom die, goes, please, Mom, don't do it. Dad, I don't want you to die. Mom's like, don't worry. It's going to be all fine.
Yeah.
And that's when, 3 punches?
Yeah, dude, it was pretty...
three punches epic. And one kick to the chest is all it took to take down...
Morax. I know. And one of the things that I find super interesting, you kind of get a hint of her power early on, because, there's a whole sub-story where there's these aliens that allow you to swap bodies with them, and what it is
they're called Qs, I think.
Yeah, the Qs. Yeah. So the way the Qs work is you swap bodies with them, your mind gets put into their body, and you get to, like, as if you're in like an all-inclusive resort, you eat and drink as much as you want, and their minds get put in your body, and they work out your body to get your body back into shape, which is very interesting.
It's the best vacation, to be quite honest.
And the whole and they're regularly bringing them up throughout the comic, and I was and
you don't know why.
Yeah, and I didn't understand why, but at the end you find out when she finally gets, because Emporia is trying to get her kids to her sister who lives on the banking planet.
Right.
Yeah, with her husband, and the husband who is like one of the richest men. I think the way they explain the banking planet is it runs 80% of the money in the galaxy. Every transaction that happens in the world, they get a small percentage
comes through there.
Yeah.
And also, before you get to your point, they also make a point of making sure you know that the husband of the sister is a jackass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So when they actually finally get to, jumping from planet to planet to planet, they finally get to their destination and they feel safe. The husband is actually really nice.
Yeah, he's like a hippie. He's like, oh, hey, man, we're all going to find peace together.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, so who's this jerk they're talking about this whole time? And then Emporia's like, he's something different about him. Like, he must have changed after all this time and stuff like that. Again, you're still not even thinking anything about that.
I know.
No, he hasn't seen them in years, right? So a guy can change.
Exactly. It was well done. It was well done. And then what's great, though, is once you find out that the bodies have been swapped, and they turn on them, and because the whole thing about the Qs is they are all about money, and the Morax did put the biggest bounty ever on the heads of the royal family and Dane Havelock to get them back. But there's this one scene in particular where all the other Ks have been shot down, even the husband's been knocked out, and only the sister's body, I'd like to point out once again, because the sister and the husband themselves,
they ain't here.
They're not there. It's just their bodies. But the sister's body's there, and Tor explains, I left your sister's body alone. I didn't shoot her down. It's up to you. And then Emporia comes over and, like, roundhouse kicks her in the hardest street way, like, just this power roundhouse kick. And I like Tor's reaction, because no one else noticed because everything's going crazy. But he's like, well, that's a little more hardcore than I expected. And that was a glimpse. That one kick and the strength and just how powerful. Because so far, if you think about it, think of it this way. When you've met the character, she's a waitress. She's working as a waitress, covering a shift for a friend. You're like Dave was saying, she's on the streets, maybe. We don't know what's her backstory. We don't know really what's going on. But we're not expecting anyone who's really good in a fight, right?
No, definitely
at the
not.
beginning.
Right.
Especially since she then becomes the Empress, who's been in gowns and sitting on a throne. And, you know, she's still fit, but she's just been living the life of an Empress to this dictator of a king. So once again, you're not really expecting anyone who handles a fight.
Because you treat her like you only see her as a princess the whole way through.
Princess
Even
and a
from
trophy,
when
yeah.
her interactions with Morax, like he's treating her, although he claims her as a princess, even when he's talking to her, he's treating her that way. You know, like, you're
as a queen. Yeah,
you're a little fragile thing.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I'm going to take you from this
Yeah, so
we've
we've only ever seen her as a like subservient queen character.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to come around
So dope.
and then do
So
this
dope.
kick that you're like, well, and like the form of the kick too. If you know martial arts,
Yeah.
Oh,
even
yeah.
the form of the kick, and like they show you how fast the legs moving because there's the blur lines.
Yeah.
The way it's drawn, you're just like, yo, that's some Bruce Lee shit right there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so for it to go from like this princess to a Bruce Lee kick to the head, and then for her to get into the fight with Morax, and then to just stomp Morax.
Stomped him, and that it was the first punch. Literally, the bloodiness of one punch.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that panel, so much blood from one punch, and then she's like,
It's not even
she's
a punch
"Get up.
though. It's
I don't
like
wanna- it was like a
a Hadouken or something like that. Like
She
like
did
the
like
palm of the,
yeah.
the
yeah,
base of
but
the
once
palm of the
again, it's
fist.
like Bruce Lee. It's the 1 inch punch. Because realize in the panel before, she's maybe less than a foot away from him, but manages
like arm's length. Yeah.
She's an arm's length away from him,
and she's like
then
an
does
eighth of his body too.
yeah,
Let's just put that out
exactly.
there, you know?
She does a full open palm hand thrust, martial arts form again. Once again, if you guys looking at the panel, martial art form, full hand thrust. Meaning the amount of pressure that she had to apply to not just like push him back, she pops his jaw open and he's bleeding profusively, all from that one small distance. Then she goes down and everyone's like, what the is going on? He jumps at her once again, perfect form, high kick, straight to the chest. Dude, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the fact that they might make this into a movie is
I'd be so down.
it's supposedly it's in the works. In
That's
2016,
amazing.
they were working on it on a script for it because everyone's just like, you have to adapt this into a movie. It works so well.
good.
It's a space opera about this crazy cool family, and God knows if they were to do it, I would hope they'd stick very much to the story and not.
You don't need to
divert.
go away from it. You
No,
don't
this
need
is
to
one of
divert.
those ones where guys take the panels, use those as your storyboard, and shoot the scenes that way because it's already done well.
Yeah.
It's done well.
Yeah.
You don't need to mess with it. But yeah, she's just powerful and badass.
Yeah, and then pretty much after a couple of kicks to the face or whatever, punches to the face, she starts explaining, I'm not really a waitress. My friend's feeling sick and I'm covered. So you start going back to the beginning now and they start explaining to you what's happening.
You have a Sherlock
And then-
Holmes moment, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then he says, she says, you have to remember I was a different person back in those days. I wasn't proud of how I earned my living. And my father and your father, speaking to Ain, was a chance for a brand new start. My sister didn't approve of my old job and we didn't exactly part on the best of terms, I'm afraid. So she was already explaining to her daughter that, like, you know, my sister and I are not on the best of terms. So when we do see her, and these are scenes I don't think we saw earlier, right? They're just bringing it back to us to tell us that her and the daughter had this conversation at some point, but we just didn't see this conversation happen.
I like the fact that they use that to their advantage. The fact that
Yes.
she's been saying all along throughout the story, like these not hints. She was just stating facts. You know what it
Yeah.
was? The omissions. It's the way they set it up as it's not like she didn't lie to you. It's not like she lied to you. She didn't, she just didn't give you the full scope of the story. I was told not to really talk about my past or, everyone would die. So what's the point? And I just lived my life and that's what it was. And here you are. I'm actually this badass warrior who can take on anybody. I have a 400 and 0 count.
Yeah.
A 400 and
When I read that, I
0
was like-
record.
Because when you're like, oh
man.
yeah, you're a fighter, whatever. Then you're like 400. Okay, that's like it doesn't matter who you're fighting at that point because like that's a large number.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane
crazy.
to think that, and we're not even talking like small pits. We're talking Thor Ragnarok style Game Master pits with guys that are as big as Morax who are holding huge spears, and she's just like, you know what? I'll do this barehanded. It's awesome,
guys.
And look good while I'm doing it.
Yeah, true. She does look bad. She looks like a white Tina Turner from Mad Max in the panel where they're showing her as Victoria,
and she's in love with her bodyguard, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. I've been waiting all the time to say this.
That's okay. There was a scene towards the end where he's like, "How didn't I know this?" As Morax is getting beat up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Because you were a sick, bullying, jealous control freak who didn't let me talk."
Yeah.
So guys, this is a lesson, guys, for all the guys listening out there.
Yeah. Yo.
Why am I spending nights on the couch?
The moment you start to try to be controlling like that, just realize that you're probably caging something terrible. And you should probably get to know what it is you're caging before you start, trying to control things.
Guys,
before they
girls,
flourish.
anyone, just don't try and cage any personality, because you find out as much as you can. I'm not saying be a stalker out there, but you got technology and social media to your disposal. Look a person up, because this mofo was so stupid he didn't even try and look her up. Like, she probably had a profile. If you're 400 you have a profile in the galaxy.
Yeah, for sure.
All this dumbass had to do was look her up once, and he never did. And because of that stupidity, he got his ass beat.
Everyone has skeletons. Everyone has skeletons, and some of those skeletons can kick your ass.
Were bad. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like he could have used this for his own. They could have been using this together. You know what I mean? Like, instead of keeping her caged and making her feel like she's not worth anything, other than bearing children for you.
Yeah,
she could have been ruling alongside you.
Yo, dude,
and probably would have made you a little bit better of a person.
Yeah. Not even he would have killed her right away.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well,
he would have killed her right
have been able to kill her anyway.
No, but I mean, he would have tried.
But he would have tried. He would have been like, "Oh, wait, you're my equal." No, I can't have any
true.
of that.
Morax is not the type to want.
She's not an equal.
Sorry.
She's definitely
He would have. No, he wouldn't have killed her. He would have put her in a room that could either self-implode or his army was there, and then let them kill her.
Yeah,
that's what would have happened. He would have put the odds in a way that, okay, you're 400-0, so that means I'm going to give you 500 guys to fight at one time.
Yeah. I see what Dave's saying. Dave's just saying that he there's no way that someone like Morax would let someone be that powerful next to him. Yeah. He has to be the authority.
True.
So
that's true.
And
so I guess it couldn't have played out any other way, really.
Yeah, no, true. When you think about it, the way they wrote this, the way the characters are, the way it comes to a head, it really was just like, I mean, she kills him and at the end, and you're like, and he says before, if you kill me, my guards are gonna kill you. They're loyal to me. And she snaps his neck. She snaps his neck anyways. And you realize the way the story is written, there really wasn't an option for her to, okay, you plead mercy, I'll let you live, because no one would have he would have still gone and tried to kill them.
Yep.
There's no way he's going to let anyone insult him or beat him like this publicly. He would have probably killed everyone within a range. He would have had his own guards kill themselves. Which leads me to my last comment, the fact that the daughter is very much her father's daughter, because she does turn around, she does take control as the heir apparent to the throne, because he was dead. She was the next in line to run that army. The army's pointing the guns at them, and she tells them to kill themselves, and they all kill themselves,
except for that one guy.
There's an odd number. So Dane, who's like had his ass whooped, then kills that last guy. But the whole point being, she could have controlled the army and kept them in check, because they're so loyal they would follow any order. Why have them kill themselves? But once again, though, don't have any witnesses. And she did the same thing her dad would have done, which is interesting.
Well, that, and I think the fact that they're trying to run away from that life, that would have kept him in the life.
Like,
this book, with how they organize it, especially with like the last few comments we've been having and piecing these thoughts together, I feel like this story arc could only be described in one word, and I don't think necessarily everything's drawn to destiny, but this book, it's like, this is destiny. All their lives and everything or fate, if you will. Yes, this book is fate. That's what this book is, because there's no, at least with what you're presented, of course, there is no other way any of this really could have gone down. You lie to your daughter. She's going to find out that you're sleeping with the guy. She's going to go back to daddy or do something about it.
Before. No, the way it's written.
Okay,
you guys think so? Because the way it's written, it doesn't seem like they were in a relationship before. He loved her.
Oh, before.
Too tempted to touch.
No,
so tempted to touch.
Before.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, that's fine.
Like that type of like they were walking by, they're walking the hallways, they're getting like nose deep.
You can
like,
literally feel the tension. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I want to pucker lips, so you're like, if I pucker my lips, I'm getting some shit. I'm getting some shit. So like, I find everything is the only thing that's not fate in this is actually one of my favorite characters, which if they continue doing this, I'd probably definitely read this, is Adam. Adam is the only wild card because he's the only one who he's not in the system. He is the system. He could do whatever he wants with his Lego bricks, right? So he's the only wild card out of this.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, Oh, sorry.
Sorry, before we even go back. So towards the end, the story kind of tells us at the beginning, we're going back 65 million years or something like that to the beginning.
This
and
is on Earth, supposedly.
Right, and these are the first people to run the planet, and they're already like super advanced weapon wise and technology wise and stuff like that. So it kind of gives you that whole like, you know, humanity has happened in cycles, so we're only heading back to the same sort of destiny. But after they've killed Morax and they've flown off the planet and on their way to whatever adventures, it starts out by saying, again, with them looking like a big happy family on this ship, by the way, with Dane standing over the Empress, Emporia, it says, this is a story of the Earth's first rulers, and these are their adventures. So these people are, I think where the story is leading is they're going to be the Earth's first rulers.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if Adam's the only one that survives.
Interesting.
How would you say that?
Because Adam and Eve.
Oh, shit. Look at you.
Because, I mean, the fact that his name was Adam, I always thought meant he's the first son. Because that's, you know, even me, my parents wanted to name me Adam once before I was born. The whole idea of Adam as the firstborn son. So the fact that you have this whole story, they're all going to go on this adventure together. The only one and his name's Adam. And they're...
Adam, and this story, you don't even really, honestly, as much as I want to guess where things are going, it changes so much that like you just have to enjoy the ride. I don't even know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean every issue ends, and that's my one complaint. My complaint. 7 issues. Every issue ends in somewhat of a ridiculous cliffhanger.
But well timed though.
Sure.
Especially issue 7. this last one here.
Like, I mean, issue 3 is the one that drove me really crazy.
The one where they explode?
Yeah.
I like that one, actually.
I mean...
I kind of knew what was going to happen, though. I was able to guess. I was going to guess that she got shipped to bring her in and save them.
Oh, actually, no, because it's not that. That's not the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Because issue 3, I'm going to pull it up real quick. But yes, Toby, I'll let you finish what you were saying about the end of this last issue 7 and the cliffhanger.
So issue 7, they're all on a ship. Now everything's done. They're drinking coffee and tea and just literally happy. They're happy. They're not on the run anymore. And Emporia's like, we don't need money. We don't need palaces. We certainly don't need any royal titles. And all we need is each other's love. It's nice to be with an ordinary guy for a change. Yeah. And then Tor's like, I'm not sure you can describe Dane as an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
Emporia's like, what do you mean? Tor said. And the last panel, Tor says, hasn't he told you who he really is?
Yeah.
And then that's how it ends.
I know.
Speaking of cliffhangers,
that is like
who is he?
That is one of the cruelest cliffhangers. Yeah. You have 7 issues. You finally get to the end. You give us the whole story. We've won the day. The story's done. Then you're like, okay, well, I guess we're just gonna finally get to know what's up. And it literally ends with the last words being a cliffhanger because it's that bubble, that speech bubble, and then the next thing is end of book 1, and you're like, come on! I was like, what the hell?
Great.
So
but that's why it's good, I guess. The cliffhangers are great.
Oh yes,
they do keep you coming back because you know there's more to be told. There wasn't.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. There wasn't ever a point where it was throwing off the story so much that you wouldn't know. Like, the reason I just didn't like number 3 is because the way it ends is literally it's Tor saying, we're stuck down here forever. And I'm like, Come on. You're telling me you guys have gone through all of this stuff for Ship to teleport you to a dust planet where you can't get off the planet?
But how can he get on? See, that was the one thing I didn't like. How can he teleport somewhere? If he can't get out, how can he get in?
He can see the planet because he can see it from the outside. So he can teleport to the planet, which is, I mean, that's the whole point, right? The whole problem with Ship is Ship kept teleporting them into weird places. Like, he was teleporting them into, like, on the side of a cliff, into the middle of water, like you were saying before. So it's a little weird for me that Ship, as a piece of technology, would teleport them into these odd places. So for, like, that's the thing. He can see the planet, but he doesn't know where he's teleporting you onto the planet, which to me seems a little dangerous because Nightcrawler needs sight to sight specifically so that he doesn't teleport you into something.
But that's my problem with this.
Yeah, Ship at the beginning teleports you onto a planet on a cliff into the, like you said. But then in this one, he teleports you into a dust planet. Because he can see the planet, but he can't tell you where in the planet, and he didn't realize that there's a 24/7 volcano erupting, blocking the sunlight. So you're like, okay, that's a little ridiculous. And that's why issue 3's ending, I was like, okay, I know they're going to get off of this one, but still, that was a little much. But I will say,
he didn't have Adam, you know?
Yeah. I will say this, though. Towards the end, Ship does get better, and the fact that at one point, Dane says to Ship, you see those 2 columns? And then he teleports the ship into the columns so that the 2 guys who are holding Dane's arms are teleported into the pillars. You're like,
they kind of phase into it. They kind of become part of the pillar.
And you're like, whoa, that is some very accurate teleportation, dude. Like
all this miss shooting you've been doing this whole time, and like precise precision when it's like cards are against the walls or whatever.
He once teleported them onto an ice cliff in which the baby fell into the mouth of a monster, and Dane had to save the baby by jumping into the monster. But now he can teleport you with pinpoint accuracy. What the fuck is going on? Anyways.
It was definitely one of those moments of like, I hope this works, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like in that situation. But I think if Ship wasn't as on the fritz as he was, that's something he probably would have normally been able to do. I think they fought side by side like that all the time.
Yeah.
One thing though,
that's definitely what I'll take away from that.
One thing about Tor though, what was getting like kind of, I wouldn't say annoying, but I was like, I just want to see this already because you're obviously going to save everyone by using this stupid power that you've been trying to talk about for like forever. So there's like 4 issues where he's like, oh, I'm from whatever, the One Day War, and I have special powers that I can control ships and this and that. Oh, you can control ships? Yeah, but if they're only made before like 1950, if they're made after 1950, I can't do anything with that.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying earlier. That's why he's kind of useless.
Like, what are you doing? And then oh, how does he save the day? Oh, you guys wanted to save an extra buck while trying to get it to round us up, so you skipped out a bit on your ships. Well, now it's your downfall, and like rains of lasers are killing everybody, and you're like, really? Because they were cheap? You're going to get billions upon billions of dollars, but you're going to cheap out on your ship to bring them home? Like, seriously?
Which makes sense, though. Makes sense that they would, because they wouldn't expect someone to have technokinesis and be able to take over their ship. But it definitely was a huge stroke of luck. Again, this is why I'm saying this movie. Wow. I mean, it might as well be a movie.
I know, yeah.
But this book played out exactly how it should have, because luck is the biggest thing of everything that's happened in the story.
I mean, it's great when Havelock, when they get captured by the slavers, and on the adult side, they're essentially going to use them to harvest the parts to like sell to people, like the hearts and lungs and all that stuff. So those 3 are on the ship, and Tor says, "Oh, okay, these junkers, because they're like junkers who the Coombs family or something. They go from planet to planet looking for junk. So their ships are usually junk ships that have been patched together. So Tor goes, these junkers, I should be able to control this one." And then he tries. He's just like, man, how's everyone affording these new ships? And Dane looks over. He's like, why did I even bring you?
You're useless.
Exactly.
Like, he literally calls him useless.
I loved it. It was so good.
It's just pure comic relief, I guess, at the end of the day. But his powers are super useless now. He needs to update your tech. Upgrade your tech.
Another thing, though, I liked, what's it called? Because we talked about how, they do the whole, like, modern day Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes about how Emporia had all her powers, and how it was, these are all the things that you should have known.
The flashbacks
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, after I read it, I was like, you know what? and I went to the beginning right away, and I started just flipping through like her scenes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you actually see that she has skill the whole way through, but he does a good job of just putting a bunch of crap on top of it. You won't connect it.
Yeah, she becomes background to all the other insanity.
Because there's other times that example, in the Junker ship.
Yeah.
How do they get the upper hand? She grabs one of the guys and starts choking him. Yeah. And that's how the fight starts and stuff. She's the one who goes with like her daughter, like, okay, we're going to go steal ship and we're going to infiltrate it first and lead this and that. I find that they do a very good job of foreshadowing, but at the same time putting a bunch of smoke over it.
Yeah.
It was if you don't think too much and you're just reading, you will miss. I missed a lot of it. A lot of those clues because I was so enthralled in how fast paced things were moving that I did. You don't slow down enough to go back to what someone said.
Yeah. Well, guys, we usually do another segment, but I think we're gonna have to skip it due to time because we're already not. We obviously like this one because we did 90 minutes on it.
Oh my god!
We did 90 minutes already.
Holy
so
shit.
We're gonna skip the our best fave worst segment that we usually do, and we're gonna go into final thoughts right away and end this one off. And then next week we'll hit you guys with another best fave worst, or maybe even a different segment. So final thoughts, guys. What do you, Tobes? Do you want to go first?
Final thoughts. Honestly, I keep comparing it to Saga, but I kind of wish Saga had a bit of a faster pace, so like similar to this.
Right? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit more fast. Yeah, just a little bit faster because I just went to buy the 6th volume actually now for Saga because I'm actually keeping up with the story.
Oh, dope.
I think they're up to 8 volumes now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A couple of those volumes seem like time wasters, seem like they're just buying time to get to something, whereas this one is literally there's no time. We have to get there.
Yeah.
So if you can find me a good middle point between this and that and put it to Saga, I would have definitely, but we're not talking about Saga right now. I'm talking about this.
That's right.
If I had to rate this, I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. I don't want to rate anything too high.
Yeah, because you're like down the road.
We're just getting started, and I'm not sure how much better our reading is going to get. But so far, I mean, we're reading some pretty impressive stuff. Yeah. Mark Millar is someone who hasn't really let me down yet in terms of storyline. They didn't do Jupiter Ascending justice at all, and I really wish they did. That's a Mark Millar story, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was. They definitely ruined that.
That's Channing Tatum in it. I'll never watch it.
It was so bad, dude. So bad. But 3.75 out of
Jupiter Ascending, the movie. Is that one of his stories?
I know he does Jupiter Legacy.
Oh no! So Jupiter Legacy is like a superhero story. It's like the Justice.
Okay, so it's not.
Yeah, that one is actually, man. We should definitely do that as an episode one day. But Jupiter's Legacy and then Jupiter. There is, I think, the next one is Jupiter. You're right. It's Jupiter something when it's the kids. But that one,
I can't remember exactly.
That one is. Have you guys ever read Kingdom Come? The DC one?
Oh, a long time ago. It was good, though.
So Jupiter Ascending is essentially like a Kingdom Come story. What it is the superheroes are adults. Their kids are now kind of punky, annoying, bratty, because they all have powers and the world's safe. And then, there's like a turmoil within the group, and then that leads off into the story. And then Jupiter's Legacy.
It's called Jupiter's Legacy, yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy, yeah. And then Jupiter's Legacy, and then there's the preview one I don't remember what that one's called. But that one's about them when they first get their powers, and that one's also very good. But yeah. So. But okay, so you're saying 3.75 for Empress.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying, well, I'll say this. This is a perfect read to give to somebody, to anybody. I would give this to anybody.
Yes.
It goes to anybody. It's not a comic book fan-based thing. It's you like story, you like action, pick up a book. I like it because you don't have to think much, and it's not to say I don't like things that don't challenge me, but it's sometimes nice to be able to pick something up and just flow into it to ride the wave or whatever. And I have a soft spot for when those things are. So I'm saying a solid 4.25.
Oh, damn,
solid. Well, nice. That's a great score, yeah. And I don't know why I picked Jupiter Ascending. But I should have said Wanted wasn't done justice.
Yeah, the oath.
That's another. Another
Toby, you know how I get when we talk about Wanted, so I won't go there.
I like the movie before I found out about the
comic book.
Oh, you poor soul.
Boy,
I'm sorry.
Did you say you liked the movie
before I found out? But you know what? Comic book.
If you never read the comic book, the movie probably seems fun because it's action, it's crazy. there's a lot of running around, secret
true.
societies. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But if you've read the comic book, you're like, what the? In any case,
why didn't you just call this something else? Yeah, exactly.
So for me, I'm gonna tie it up. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna do the 4. I'm gonna do 4 on 5. I think that Mark Millar writes excellent stories. We've seen it. We've done Chrononauts. He knows how to write characters. He does
Kick-Ass, right? So as well.
Yeah, he does a really good job at writing characters. And like you said, and Dave, I think you explained it best. The foreshadowing is done right there, but he smokes it. There's a lot of smoke, so you can't see it clearly that he's essentially told you or given you scenes from the beginning to express that, this character is actually really brave. Or, she's not just... Yeah, she's not just a queen. Or, when it's Chrononauts and it's just like, they're not just scientists. They're, he might seem like he's just a douchebag, but he's willing to go the distance to save somebody. Nemesis, it's not just crazy. There's a lot of layers to it. And all this stuff is built and written. And I think the other one that MPH, miles per hour, I don't know if you guys have read that one. I haven't read that one yet. But the way the foreshadowing in that one's done and then pays off at the end, excellent. And Mark Millar always knows how to do that well. Yeah. So 4 on 5 for this one. I think Empress is an amazing story. If they are going to make it into a movie, I want him to be not even just a consultant. I almost wish the guy could stand there and be the director of photography. I know he's not a director of photography.
Slap the hands when they go too far from the rail.
Yeah. I want him to be there with just he's not the director, but he has the right to say, cut. You're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
That's not how this scene should be done. I get that you guys are doing it cinematic, but trust me, do it like this angle and change that, and that will be pure to the comic, and it really will get the message across. Because Hollywood has a tendency to need to Hollywoodize or big time a story, and this story is all like Tobi. Even when we were talking about it, you kept saying this movie because it already feels like a movie.
It does. And honestly, I think he's writing. If I had to guess, he's literally writing like he's writing movies now, because a lot of his stuff is getting picked up.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we've seen Kingsman.
Yep.
Kingsman is another one. I think he had a big part in Civil War as well, Captain America.
Oh, okay.
And he was like a huge consultant on that movie, and we see how that movie turned out. It's pretty good.
And his new comic, The Magic Order, that once again, we do these episodes a while back, but he signed that deal with Netflix, and this is the first Netflix Mark Millar world title, The Magic Order. And if you guys read that first issue, I read it, and I'm actually probably going to write a review. So if you guys are listening to this now, go back and check it out, because I've written a review for The Magic Order issue 1, and it's a doozy. It's really well done. So
here it is. He was a writer on Logan as well.
Oh wow!
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Especially with Kick-Ass.
You're right. He has Empress in pre-production.
Yeah, right. Fingers crossed,
Wanted 2 is announced.
No, don't do it.
Another Kingsman project, The Magic Order, and Jupiter's Legacy was also announced.
Oh, really?
There you go.
As a title? Yeah. Oh, that'd be dope. If you guys have read Jupiter's Legacy, if you haven't, that's another title I'd recommend. It's very interesting. Hopefully, by the time these episodes come out, these movies have moved along more, and as we're talking about it, you guys are going to be able to see these in theaters, and hopefully they've done.
Yeah, and then we're going to have to do a special episode where we don't read the comic book, but we watch the movie of the comic book.
Oh man, I'd be down for us to do episodes like that. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Because the one thing I just wanted to add on with what you're saying, like how they shouldn't change anything, I feel like this has the X-Men animated syndrome, like. You could easily take any one of those episodes and you take the exact writing, the exact wording, everything's the same. You have your script for this movie
the pacing. The TV show, the X-Men TV show, I never had an issue with action per episode.
Yeah. So that's what they have to do. You have it already written. You don't have to do anything else.
Yeah,
you have your script already. You know what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to say it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Okay, guys. So, 4 on 10, 3.75, and 4.25. That gives us,
12 on 15.
12 on 15. That's a good score for it. So, once again, Empress, Mark Millar, art by Stuart Immonen. A lot of variant covers for every issue, which was super cool.
Yep.
And if you guys want to check it out, we highly recommend it. Check out your local comic book shop and go get an issue. Go get it as soon as possible, because this is one of those ones that we're saying, read it before the movie comes out so that you can know what's up. So, that's the end of the show, guys. This has been another wonderful edition edition of That's Canon, and we're going to do our sign-offs. Dave, tell the people where they can find out everything about you.
Well, first of all, always visit www.squared-idea.com, where you could see everything that we're producing. Right now, our two main titles would be The Fathom by Mike Wilcox, Trinity by myself and Chris Nicholson. And if you want to just hit up any comments, you could hit it up there. You could hit up on our Facebook. You could get us out on Patreon. And if you want to talk to me, well, it's Merc_Witta. That's WITTA_mouth for Instagram. And that's all I got.
Toby.
I really don't usually ever have much. I do want to say courage is contagious, guys. It inspires today and it inspires the future. That's it.
That's nice. That's
Okay,
it.
That's very philosophical.
I know, right?
Is that what we got to do now?
I almost wish I'd let you gone last, because now I'm going to do the whole promo plug. It's not going to sound as
corporate. We got corporate here.
Yeah, sorry guys, the corporate's here. Hold on, they're handing me a piece of paper. Hello everyone, my name is Corporate Jack, and I'm no.
You really should have done it the whole way through with that accent.
But yeah, so guys, end of the show. Once again, you can always hit us up on franklinarmstrong.com. The episodes are up there, and we are now on. So you guys are listening to this months later. You've seen how many episodes we've done, but at this time only 2 episodes had been posted on the site, so it was great. Also, the show got approved by all the sources really quickly, which gives me confidence that it is people have to review it before they put it up, and it was approved by Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, TuneIn, and Overcast, all within like 2 days. So I mean, the content speaks for itself, and the fact that it's approved, and I guess everything's in order and people liked it. Well, there you go. So you guys can check us out on all those platforms that I just mentioned. And if you want to check us out, you can also find us on YouTube, because we're going to be posting the episodes as we do. Same thing as we do at Geektastic Sci-Fi. We're going to be posting them up on YouTube, which is all under the Franklin Armstrong site. So tinyurl.com/FranklinArmstrongDOTCOM. And all the episodes will be there. And if you guys want to contact us, you can hit us up on Instagram or Twitter at @AStrongFranklin, on Facebook at Franklin Armstrong DOTCOM, and on Vero under Franklin Armstrong Collective. That's the whole show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back soon.
Come back
soon time.
Peace, y'all.
Peace out.
Soon time.